Former White House press secretary under President George W. Bush, Ari Fleischer, delivered the keynote address here on the first day of CUNA's Governmental Affairs Conference. We caught up with Fleischer after his speech.
I've been a part of the same credit union since 1983, which is the Wright-Patman Congressional Federal Credit Union. I became a member, frankly, because it was located in my building when I went to work there in 1983. But I've kept it for all those years because the service is so good. That's what I like about it.
And what services have you gotten there that you think you probably couldn't get at a traditional bank?
Well, I probably could get these at a traditional bank, but it's a bill payer. And the ease in which I pay all my bills through the credit union is what I like about it. And I don't want to recreate that anywhere else. The Congressional Union does it, and they do it well. Everything about working with them has been wonderful. And I remember back in the days when institutions paid interest, they had a competitive interest rate on savings, and I enjoyed that back then.
Now, we see a lot of issues on Capitol Hill right now for credit unions. They're trying to get some regulatory relief right now. Wondering if you have any advice for credit unions and their advocacy efforts here at CUNA on Capitol Hill.
Well, the most important thing is to be genuine and to have a lot of numbers. And when you look at the crowd that was here today, you have strength in numbers. And when people go up and they meet with the people from their state, from their district, hometown folks making the case, that has an impact on Capitol Hill. And it has to be credible, it has to be genuine, it has to be heartfelt, and you get the sense from the membership here that that's who they are.
Mm-hmm. And with the gridlock on Capitol Hill, it's been difficult to get some things done for credit unions. Any advice you might have on messaging to kind of break through the gridlock and hit their message home?
Well, I think the issue for the gridlock is not going to be the messaging on anything related to the credit union issues. Those are not as controversial. That's not what's bogging things down here in Washington. It's the big things that is. So the likelihood is you need a smaller vehicle, a legislative bill that has much more support and not a lot of noise to make it through. But of course, you're always going to have the opposition of the banks, depending on what it is, and that's what traditionally has made these issues hard for credit unions.
There were a lot of regulatory relief bills in the last session of Congress that passed the House under Speaker Boehner, and they did not pass in the Senate. They were hung up under Harry Reid. Do you think Mitch McConnell should take up some of those regulatory relief efforts that small financial institutions like credit unions are trying to push through?
Well, I think you're going to see a very different agenda in the Senate under Mitch McConnell, and I think you're going to see more action and at least more votes. Whether or not they can cross a hurdle of 60 votes and be signed by the president is another question. But I know that Mitch McConnell has a real anti-regulatory environment that he wants to create, and so he probably have better prospects this year, but it still is a lot of gridlock in this town.
Mm-hmm. Now, as somebody who provides a lot of analysis on cable TV, you've probably talked a lot about Dodd-Frank, for example. You know, there's a lot of regulations in Dodd-Frank. It's a huge, huge bill. What do you think about the CFPB? Republicans have used the CFPB as an example of an agency that's not accountable. There's actually a bill right now that would change the structure of the CFPB from one director to a 5-person commission and make them more accountable in other ways. Do you think that would be something that might be beneficial?
You know, I'm just suspect that when the government sets these things up, they just don't work. You know, I think you have to have very limited experience finding examples of government boards and agencies, particularly big onerous ones like this, that are actually effective and improve things. A lot of them just bog things down. They sound good, but they actually don't deliver, and that'd be my fear here.